Hello.
Hello, welcome.
Welcome back, everyone, to another episode of How's It Feel, Though, with Orclistic Mystic.
And the Revelator.
Yeah. Mackie, hi. It's been so long since I've seen you.
Abacus, the kid, all the way down the street.
All the way down. Listen, we're practicing for whenever I live in France, okay?
You're moving to France?
Well, you know, Brittany, France, who knows?
Oh, Brittany.
Hi, darling. The world is on fire. How are you?
Oh, we're expecting this. We've been talking about it for months now.
Yes, we have.
Everything's changing now that we have Saturn and Neptune in Aries. Everyone, the war that all the astrologers are predicting is actually it already started, but it's just getting worse. I mean, I hate to smile when I say it, but it's all been predicted. So, but no question, they're all crazy, narcissistic rulers, and they're all warlike, regardless of which wing you're on, if you're on one.
If you're on one. I just want to take a second to acknowledge your outfit. I really like it. Oh, no, wait. I thought it was all black. Get back down. We did a nice little photo shoot for Mackie the other day and got him an Instagram page, and you had like this tuxedo look going on. And
I almost went black and white in honor.
But yeah, super proud of your strides. It's nice watching you grow.
Yeah, and I'm a cool kid because I'm on Instagram.
Right. So everyone, go and follow. I mean, he's finally got his own space, and now you can stalk him. So,
and it's perfect for Gemini season to start an Instagram page. It's an air sign. It's ruled by Mercury, and there's so much information out there. I mean, if in the last 30 days, haven't you just been bombarded with information?
It's been insane. And, that's something I wanted to say. I really like that we're talking about Gemini season at the end of Gemini season. And I kind of feel like we kind of do all the seasons sort of near the end of all the seasons. And I like that because we're trying to ask people how it feels. And there's no point in asking them at the start of the season. So I'm like kind of making an excuse for us being late, but also really.
Well, this is only the third scheduled time.
Really like it. No, I really like it because it feels more like an afterglow. It's like
Well, it'll be an afterglow at 10:30 because that's the solstice tonight.
Right. Happy solstice, by the way.
Happy solstice for everyone on the east and central time zones. Yeah. And tomorrow, the mountain in the west will have the solstice.
Yeah.
So, or no, actually, no. It was, yeah, that's right. No, it's tomorrow in Europe already. That's when the solstice happens tomorrow because it all happens at the same time.
Fair enough.
So it'll be tomorrow in China and today here.
Yeah, June has just flown by. It's all gotten really, really, really fast. I mean, the condition of the world, it's pretty hard to keep track of time right now. I'll just be real. I mean, some of us live outside of linear time anyway, but now it's like, I don't know, extra intense.
Yeah.
The climate, the political climate feels so emotional. Because there's a whole lot of morality tied into everything. I mean, there always is, but right now and lately, it's just been so intense. And Gemini is it's ruled by Mercury, so it's the great messenger, right? So all these voices, they're being heard, they're all being seen, and it's a lot just to witness it. let alone be experiencing it.
Mm-hmm.
And I think it's important to sit with, you know?
Yeah. And it's really interesting to watch all the things that are going on. And to me, it's like, hey, let's all be free and screw all our rulers. And
Screw all the rulers.
yeah,
And
not just the ones on the side that you're not on, like all of them.
for sure, for sure. But it's none of us are free until all of us are free, and therefore free Palestine.
Oh, well, yeah, of course. Everyone needs to be free.
Yeah.
So I 100% agree. And yeah, and screw all these people shooting bombs at each other.
Yeah. Yeah.
But and you know, it's kind of the whole Gemini thing is kind of like scattered energy, but there's a lot, or scattered information. There's a lot of stuff flowing around and being scattered, and like our conversation might be a little off the wall and scattered. But if you think that it's emotional now, just wait till Cancer season, which is coming up in a couple hours.
I know. It's going to get even more intense. But with that, though, I mean, at least there is Cancer is the nurturer too. So I try to stay optimistic.
Yeah. I think maybe, and now that Jupiter moved into Cancer,
exactly,
maybe things will become a little clearer, and people will focus more on trying to protect and preserve, and you know, maybe settle down a little bit from the crazy energy of Gemini and the you know, the high voltage air energy that's, you know, that's kind of been a crazy month, like you said. And I think maybe now things will calm down. We hope.
We hope.
But things might not calm down till like September. We still got Uranus is gonna, you know, coming up here in early July, I think, or mid-July, moves into Gemini, which we're talking about now. And so that'll be the last big planet to change signs, because we've already had Pluto, Saturn, Neptune, and Jupiter all change signs. And now Uranus. That's what makes this year unique, is all those big heavy planets, like all of them have moved into a new sign, or are moving into a new sign. And it'll be that way until like September or October, I think. And that's when some of these planets will retrograde back and give us a little review of the beginning of the year, end of last year. Those energies will come back for a little while, but it is a unique year, and Gemini is a big part of it.
Yeah. Gemini, just from a horoscope, zodiacal point of view, is kind of in charge of the third house, if you're looking at a wheel. And so the themes of which would be what? It would be sibling energy.
Yeah, communication.
It would be your local neighborhoods.
Yeah, it will be, yeah, your neighbors, your communications, your all the things that are, like you say, local. When you said siblings, yeah, and not just your close family, but your family of people in your community. So it has a lot to do with your community, your short trips, your nearby things.
Right.
So yeah, that's kind of part of Geminis.
Like your local voice too. And, you know, and that makes me think of some of the things that have been happening here locally. I'm thinking of some awesome plays that I've been to here locally that are put on by these really brilliant artist friends of ours. Then kind of spanning from that to kind of the activist work that's been happening, trying to stop, you know, certain establishments from setting up, you know, things that are going to kind of pollute our local neighborhood more with things that we don't want. So it has been really active in that sense when I think about it.
Yeah, that's a great example of local people coming together, putting together awesome communications. They're the PR of all the people that are working against the power plant and the data center that are being and trying to introduce right into between our two towns has been pretty incredible. And the motivation that they have and the fact that they've been able to put it all together really fast, totally a Gemini sort of thing that's happened. Yeah, that's totally related. You know, it's a local issue. They brought it to national attention. I mean, it's a very, very electric. It's this whole AI center thing, and AI is like a huge topic right now.
Yeah.
A very air sign Gemini type of topic.
Right.
That's, you know, huge. And, you know, Uranus is the hierarchy of Mercury, and it's moving into Gemini. So the whole next, what is it, 8 years or so that it's going to be in Gemini, that's going to, you know, AI is going to be a huge topic of, you know, and it's going to be huge in everyone's life, supposedly. I mean, you know, people say it's going to take over. We have all these, for example, we have Amazon and Microsoft all laying hundreds, if not thousands of people, I think thousands and thousands of people off because AI is taking all their jobs. So that's kind of interesting thing that's going on right now.
Did you see the local play?
You know, I tried to get tickets, and it must be super popular because
it's been sold out a bunch. I saw opening night thanks to Seth Pitt.
But I couldn't see it last week, so I tried to get tickets this week, and
it was fantastic. I think that maybe tonight is the last night, or maybe
it's going on Sunday and Monday. But they're sold.
Well, maybe you'll still get to go, and I would highly recommend it. It feels, well, it is very anti-capitalistic. I really like the messaging behind it. So I feel like I'm proud of our little town for the way that they're exercising their voice. I think it's really, really important. And I think that that's the whole point of art. And so to live in an art town where people are using their art to express what the people need. I mean, I really,
I was pretty interested in seeing what the message was, because, you know, they can say they're anti-capitalists, but that means that they want, what does that mean? That means they want someone else ruling them, right? And I'm for freedom, so.
No, the whole play was about freedom and about communities coming together to look out for each other.
Well, yeah, I would hope so.
Yeah, no, it was really, really good, and I hope that you get in to see it. Julie directed it. Julie's amazing. I got to see her mama down at the Brick House a long time ago, and it's really neat to see Jules just kind of rise. And Thomas, that's classic Thomas, just to watch artists just rise up here. So
yeah, it's awesome. I wish I could go and see it.
Yeah. Okay, well, we have one caller. We had a couple, but then we had to keep rescheduling. That's sadly a thing that happens sometimes. But if she's able to join, she is a dear friend of both mine and yours.
Oh, surprise.
Catherine went by Fleischman for the longest time. But
she changed her name?
Well, since then she's gone through like an entire like rebirth. So who knows?
Right.
Who knows? But she's supposed to be joining us around now.
Great.
Well, I think that was her. Did you just see that too? Boom, boom. She's supposed to be joining us around 7:15. So yeah. She has been a really dear person in my world as far as like I don't know, just like examples on like what it looks like to be a badass femme. you know. I told her not long ago that one of my first memories of time spent with her was at Floyd Fest, like a million years ago. It's with Mariah and who else? Ann Jones. And I was hanging out with her and her partner at the time. Is that her? Hello.
Hello, this is Catherine.
Catherine, welcome.
Hooray for technology.
Yeah, hooray for technology in this sense. But I was just talking about you. And I was telling the story of how one time I asked you how you felt about kids and if that was a thing that you had ever wanted, and you said that you were your own child, and that really made a mark on me. It put a mark on my heart, and I loved that because to be grounded in the self could also be seen as self-centered, which is a thing that's kind of frowned upon in a lot of our culture. And I loved that you were such a powerful woman who was so grounded in herself. And that was my first impression of you, and it has remained the same. So hello.
Wow, thank you.
Yeah.
I am honored, and I'm delighted to be talking with you on the solstice.
Yeah, we have a couple of hours and we're there.
Exactly. So, do you have questions for me, or
we can go both ways. So
okay?
are you a Gemini? When's your birthday?
Yes, I am a Gemini. I was born May 30th, and I have a moon in Virgo and Venus in Taurus and Mars with Leo and an ascendant in Cancer. And I think today Cancer just made a big move. And my sun is Gemini.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. I love that.
Yeah.
And apparently, 2025 is a really big year for, I guess, all things astrological. Lots of planets moving, and anyway, it seems like a big year for me too.
It is a big year for you, and it's a big season because in addition to having so much Gemini in your whole vibe, we're moving right into Cancer season, which is all for you as well as a Cancer rising.
Yeah,
I love that.
And I'm interested. I don't really know a lot about the stars and our connection with them. This is relatively new to me, but I do feel like it's such a powerful and helpful source, especially in the time that we're in, for community and for individuals, to kind of give us another way of understanding who we are and why we are, and then also giving us some reason to some knowledge that what our inner feelings and lead with the heart and the mind is so important in this stage, and in this year, that it's a grounding mechanism for us.
Yeah, it can give you guidance on how things are changing and maybe where you want to change, because everything. One of the messages from our podcast have been that everything is changing this year because all the big, heavy, slow-moving planets are moving into a new sign this year. So, and are you ready? And are you going to get left behind? And I think.
Oh my God, man! You make it sound like a fucking rapture.
Well, I mean, some people who don't know about astrology are changing just because their
Oh
you
my
know their
God.
awareness is changing, and they know they've got to change.
Just give the altar call while you're at it.
And well, and like I think just what Catherine was saying is that it gives you another framework to work within. It maybe
does.
can show you a direction or a reason if you're looking for
It
an
does.
explanation.
It does.
And if you don't believe in it, fine. And if you don't believe in it, you probably don't even know anything about it. That's the really fun thing about it.
Well, and having said all of that, Catherine, we decided a little while ago that we're going to go ahead and open it up to our guests, to where if they have any specific cruxes and things that they've been working on, that they can put that question out there to us and get a free diagnosis or what have you.
So I did, I came to you, I guess, back in December or November of last year because I had some decisions about travel.
Was that
And,
that long ago? Wow.
yeah, it was 2024, at the end of 2024.
Crazy.
And this also, I am feeling very connected and grounded in this place in West Virginia, where even though I've had connections here for years, I'm actually living here full time now, and I do also always have this idea of travel and feeling that there's, and I think this is a quality in a Gemini. We're always looking for the next shiny thing.
Oh, yes.
And I feel like I have had my time in 2025, in the end of 2024, I have practiced stopping. And that doesn't mean that I'm like not doing anything, but it means that I'm just seeing appreciating where I am, or living more in a moment, in the present, in a mindfulness.
Mhm.
And I feel like it's nice to not, I feel like I've always been someone running on overtime, super busy, super just too much for most people. I describe myself as a lot. But the other signs and the way that when you mentioned being ready for the change, kind of, I feel like the practice or the information that I get from the stars and the planets give me some of that grace to kind of be, it's okay to be nutty or wild or seeking a shiny thing, but to have a counter to that. And I think in some instances it's like a shadow, but it's not a bad thing. It's what you are, and here's how you work with it, sort of.
Yeah, I totally agree that part of the change might be the not changing. I was talking to a friend of mine last night who is also an air sign and has a moon in Gemini, and they were saying about how they change jobs and they change places to live constantly all the time, and they felt like maybe the change they wanted was to finally stop doing that. So the change for someone might not be changes, it might be actually solidifying some things.
I like that.
Yeah, or more like an acceptance, and which is a freedom. When you are no longer battling this urge, it can be used more towards your happiness, I guess, and that of others around you.
Right. Right. So you're playing with your strengths instead of seeing it as a weakness. It's like
Yeah,
you're
that's
yeah,
yeah,
like allowing yourself to be interested in everything instead of seeing yourself as scattered.
yeah.
Mm-hmm.
That is very helpful. And
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I
Well,
think
I started what sorry.
no, you go ahead.
I always felt very well, like I had to mask and try to put on like I was a person who was excited about the world and in order to kind of be accepted by my peers. But having so much Scorpio in my chart, all I really wanted to do was think about, the really deep, dark shit. And like now, like doing this work, being able to excavate and go into the depths of things, practicing death doula work, which is what I'm doing right now. It's like once you realize these things about yourself, they say in art school, once you learn the rules, that's when you can break them. So you're learning your rules, and now you get to do whatever
Yeah,
you want.
yeah. That is really helpful. And I have to say I took a small trip instead of a big one. And I feel like that, it's not like uh stars. I made a decision based on one thing, but I felt more connected with my decision. Um, and I feel more connected in how I accept the person that I am. Like I try not I try not to beat myself up for being this person. But in a culture, in a Western culture in the 21st century, that's a hard thing to do,
Yeah,
particularly, and it's hard for men and it's hard for women. It's
yeah,
hard for people of color.
yeah,
Um, it's hard for all of us. It's fascinating that our society um, has made, especially one that kind of promotes the individual, it can be so brutal
yeah.
to the individual.
Well, if I may, I just want to say a thing, just a little thing, hopefully that will affirm you. I just want to say I love how plugged in you are to everything. Like one of the reasons why this podcast got postponed one of the times was
Oh,
because
right.
you were like, hey, there's an important town hall about this bad thing that could happen to our town. Like, maybe we
Yeah.
should show up to that. And we're like, oh yeah, totally. Let's push the podcast. But like you're in touch, and that is such an air sign thing. It might
Ah,
seem scattered, right?
yeah.
Like a buckshot instead of a slug, but you're covering so much ground. It's like I call my Gemini people mavens.
Ah,
You're going and you're getting this information and you're flying it to each person. You're flying it to your community. So you're a natural weaver, and I love that.
yeah. Thank you.
Yeah.
That that's helpful. Um, and this, I'm curious about this for Gemini. Um, what how how did this um how did that come about with the air, water, and the signs that got split up like they did? Is
Mac.
this through Arab? I mean, does it go so far back that we don't even know? But was it Arabic
Well, it's
or
the astrology that I practice is the more Roman and Greek, but it has roots in, I'm sure, Arab and Asian
Mhm.
astrology. And a lot of the Chinese and Indian astrology has similar um, things in it. I think there's maybe more elements to the Chinese
Yeah.
astrology, but basically when people ask questions like that, it's all from thousands of years of observation. And
Okay.
that's how it all got put together. And in terms of the and numerology also, because it's based on 3s and 4s and 12s and all that kind of stuff. And angles and geometry. So it's all kind of tied together, and it's an ancient science, but it keeps changing. So some of the obviously some of the planets weren't even discovered until less than 100 years ago, like Pluto.
Right.
So it's an evolving, I call it a science, because where the planets are in the charts is a scientific thing. I think the art of it is the interpretation of it. And I think over thousands of years, the way it's been interpreted, give it the elements. And I think they kind of ring true with a lot of people. I think it's a traditional sort of thing. So
well,
I don't know how great of an answer that is, but I think it just comes from thousands of years of observation.
Well, it's purely human in that it's our observations and then our communications over multiple, it sounds like multiple cultures and places and time. But it's also our connection to nature. And it is not only is it scientific, but it's also spiritual and community oriented. It's definitely that. I like that note. I like the way you describe it as scientific, and it's that important. It's a healthy practice. It can be a very healthy practice in being more human.
Yes. And you hit on a lot of keywords there: observation, communication, connection. Those are all air sign things, and the air is what connects everything. It connects all of us. And people are like, oh, without food, you can't survive more than a certain amount of time. Without heat, fire, you can. Without water, you can't survive more than a certain amount of time. But without air, you're talking about very limited survival.
Right.
So air is definitely the most, of all the elements, it's the most crucial to our life.
Well, it's such a connector in nature too. When you think about its role, the rain falls through the air to the ground. The wind scatters the seeds across the earth. Fire will go out. So it's a connector and a really supportive element within the list of elements as well.
Right. And this what has happened recently with Cancer? Is it Cancer that has just moved, or the new ascendant?
Well, Jupiter just moved into Cancer. The sun is getting ready to move into Cancer here in a couple of hours. In terms of a new ascendant, I mean, the ascendant changes every 2 hours. Maybe you're talking about progressions or something like that. But but there is a move right now from Gemini to Cancer with the sun and Jupiter, which is a big deal. And but also Uranus is getting ready in July to move into Gemini. So, and if your birthday is on May 30th, that's going to affect you personally, because it will come up and Uranus will cross the position of where your sun was when you were born. And usually that brings sudden changes. Or it could bring some like enlightenment too. it's the higher octave of Mercury, so it has a lot to do with communications, and it's an electric planet. So it will be part of your life for the next couple of years at least.
I see. And I'm going to call it good news.
Yeah.
Valuable introspect.
Well, and you can, there's a shadow to and a benefit to everything. So,
Yeah.
you have free will, and that's what the beautiful thing is you can look at an astrology chart and you can tell someone, well, it could be, you could use this to your advantage, or it could take advantage of you. So there's always the flip side of the planets,
Right.
or aspects, or the transits.
Okay. Kat, I have a question for you now.
Okay.
It's the theme of this show. How does it feel, though? Air signs are known for being intellectual, right? You're kind of heady, you're witty, you are a wordsmith. You can probably talk your way in and out of trouble. But how does it feel to be you? How does it feel to be in your head, in your body? How does it feel to be a Gemini? Can you tell us a little bit your experience in a nutshell?
Okay. I would say that my experience as a Gemini is, well, I always feel like there's something else happening. Like, am I making the right decision to do the thing that I've decided to do? So there's also this, as I tend to have, I did in my past, this, I got mixed up with am I pleasing others or am I pleasing myself? Was I losing my knowing and my intuition because I had spent so much time trying to thinking that what I needed to do was to help other people or save other people. It's a pleaser mentality. And I think that is associated with being a Gemini. But I now feel like, the Gemini in me is fun and adventurous, and it is attractive to other people. So I can be the person that is always willing to have a good time or experience something fun. But the downside to that is, not everything is always fun. And it's important to be being a Gemini. I struggle with that comfort of myself. I could be better. I could be, but I can also be like, nope, I am living my best life, and it's not in my head, not because anything else has changed. It's just because that's how I'm feeling right now.
Yeah. The Geminis who I know are very heady. Like the mind is just like, it's like a train station. It's like a train station of data.
Here's a funny story that maybe communicates that. So a few years ago, I had to buy a car for the first time in my life, and it was in March of 2021 when there were no cars, or there were no cars available. And I had to go to a used car dealership, and buying a car, being a woman on her own, and obviously in a kind of a crisis situation,
Yeah.
showing up, you feel violated.
Yeah. Yep.
You get the rigmarole, and you know that you're paying too much for it, and
Yep.
you know that they're trying to sell you all the stuff that you don't need, but
Yep.
somehow I got through it, and I drive out with this car that is new to me, and I'm a few months go by, and I'm realizing that, oh my gosh, I'm getting 41 miles to the gallon. Oh my gosh, the thing starts every time I turn the key. Oh my gosh, I can, this is when I was a florist, I can fit a whole wedding in this thing. And then I have this aha moment when I'm like driving down the road, minding my own business, realizing I did not pay enough for this car. It has brought me so much joy.
Wow. I love that.
Yeah, absolutely nothing changed.
Yeah. And
But
so,
my interpretation.
yeah, and you didn't overthink it. You used your own judgment. You went with it.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. I love that.
I hope that answered your question. I feel like I kind of went round and around, but
Well, yeah, but
right. Gemini for wordy.
can you tell us how we can show up better for our Gemini friends?
Huh. That is a beautiful question. Maybe it's not show up, it's put up. Gemini, or keep up, or let us, I think, delight when we run around in circles like a chicken with their head cut off, and allow us to wear ourselves out.
Okay, and for those of us who love a Gemini, how can we love you better?
Oh,
What's a love language that you really understand naturally?
That is so, I could be wrong about this, but I think relationships are a struggle for Gemini because we are so eager to take on the burden.
Mm-hmm.
But for others, I think allowing a Gemini to fall, providing space for sadness.
Yeah.
And maybe a security to know that you can mess up.
Permission to
You
fail.
get more. Yeah, exactly. Permission to fail. Well said.
Yeah.
Yeah. Does that sound like an air person talking?
Yeah, it did to me, Mackie. What do you think?
Yeah, I mean, I think maybe communication's really important for Gemini, and but Catherine, do you feel like because a lot of the Gemini men I know definitely are dual personalities, but the women don't
Yeah.
seem to be as bad or as clearly that way. Do you think you're a dual personality person?
I definitely think I can be. And Mackie, I think that's interesting that you mentioned that, because it's very possible that men do not have that, do not have the cultural permission for soft for a softer side or a more compassionate side, and women do for a more intuitive side. So they would be harder, either one way or the other, and women might be more of a mishmash,
Yeah.
for lack
But
of a better
also,
term.
though, and tell me if this makes sense to you, Catherine. Like
Mhm.
in studies about folks with autism, it's a lot harder to spot in those socialized as femme, because if you're raised as a femme, you're taught to tend to befriend, and so socializing is a must, right? And so the way
Yeah.
you present is a must. And so presenting more steady instead of flipping back and forth. Maybe those who are raised as girls, they're better at masking even.
Yes, well, I think we just, I can say women, or certainly in Western cultures, and I would imagine in other Eastern cultures, have to mask. We can be determined crazy bitches,
Mhm.
where, but at the same time, men are not allowed that. There's that kind of masculine sort of bullying not to be uh, not to be sensitive.
Yeah.
So to be bipolar
Yeah.
is, or to have two dual personalities
Right.
is a way to live in the 21st century like that.
Mhm. Mhm.
In our culture. But that, Mackie, that I had not thought like that. That was very opening. And most of my Gemini guy friends are all over the place, like me.
Yeah, but you hide it a lot better. Or you're more sensitive, so you're not like obviously bipolar or whatever.
Sensitive that your cancer rising.
So yeah, thanks for yeah, because that's the way I've always felt. And just
Yeah,
based on a couple of friends, close friends that do
sure.
tend to have totally two different personalities, and they all happen to be Gemini, so
You never know which one's showing up either.
Yeah, you don't know until you start talking to him. I really, really, really appreciate your feedback, right, on letting us into your minds, and how to support you and how to love you and how to show up for you. And I think it was some really important things that you shared. So thank you for that.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Well, thank you. I have totally enjoyed this, and I'm delighted that we've been able to talk the whole time, and the call went through, and yeah, that's a check in the technology box. Although,
Yeah.
as I live the rest of my life, I'm practicing using less technology in hopes of being more human.
Well, Catherine, thank you so much for being our guest, my dear.
All right, thank you guys. I hope you have a great weekend and enjoy the solstice.
Yes. You.
Yes,
Okay.
thank you so much. You're our first air guest.
Cool.
All right.
All right.
Toodaloo.
Love, love.
Love, love.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Wow.
Yeah, she was great.
Yeah. She's always great.
Mm-hmm.
She
Yeah.
brings all that power to the table.
No, and very well spoken and nicely, didn't leave us with a bunch of dead airspace. That's for sure. It was very live air.
Catherine's she really is a beautiful example of a Gemini to me, because she strikes me as someone who's incredibly community oriented. We were talking about how Gemini rules the third house, and it's your local neighborhood, it's sibling energy, and I'm really happy that we got to talk to her today.
Yeah.
Is there anywhere that Gemini energy shows up in your chart specifically that you want to note or share on?
On my chart, on the descendant is my Gemini.
So that's like, it's kind of like in your relationship.
So yeah, it's on the cusp of my 7th house for house of relationships. So how does that reflect in them? I don't really know. Maybe just because it seems like all my relationships have a lot of communication going through them.
Yeah.
So, but the chart is complicated because my 7th house has Cancer intercepted in it.
Right.
So that's and there's a couple of planets in there too. So and my sun is very close to the descendant also. So relationships play a really important part in my life, and communicating about them, I think that's kind of what a lot of our podcast is about.
Yeah.
So I'm really feeling at home talking about how does it feel for different people, and relating to us.
Yeah.
So I think that's man, it's right in my pilot house or whatever. I Cancer is about how you feel, and
yeah, Gemini is about expressing it.
Communications about Gemini. Yeah, so it's like I feel like it's great, and and our guests have been so amazing. It's just like blowing me away, really, about how cool all of our guests have been, and how smart they are, and how well spoken they are.
Yeah. For me, it shows up in my 11th house, which is the community, the house of friends and community and wishes and whatnot. And I love that. And my dark moon Lilith and my Chiron are in Gemini. So a lot of healing work that I have revolves around my community. And I'm always really grateful for the community that I have. It's not always easy being in a small community, and you know this, but I think that in smaller communities, there's a greater chance for accountability, radical vulnerability, and I think that's perfect for growth. Definitely not always comfortable, but a lot of beautiful growth I've seen in this area.
Small community, the bad part is we get picked on by like the carpetbaggers that try to come in here and take advantage of the resources that we have and try to overpower us. But the good thing is we quickly organize and rise up against those powers.
Right.
The government that wants to cash in on us, the carpetbaggers, the out-of-state people that want to come in here and cash in on us, that people that don't live here. So I think that's the nice part about a small community. And we're talking a lot about this, this us rising up to face the power in this data center thing. And it's all about how the state, the county, the nation wants to profit off of this AI data center stuff, and about how the people that are actually living here and can be affected by it want to come up against it. And I think that's really, really cool.
Yeah.
About a small community that we're able to mobilize and come together so quickly.
So I think that I'd love to say in parting that I think, so one of the things I love about the zodiac are just, there are so, it's archetypes, right? All of the different signs. And so we have a little bit of all of them in us, right? So no one's just one thing. And I like to think about what they have to give us, right? Like a gift of a practice. And I've been thinking about just listening to Catherine, right? And hearing how we can show up for Geminis better, how we can love them better, allowing grace for them to fail, allowing room for them to just, you know, not be the perfect maven, not be the perfect messenger, to be a little scattered. And I think about all of the parts within each person. And so I think that a good point of reflection would be to listen to all of the parts within ourselves, right? Knowing how to show up for ourselves, hearing all of the parts in our system, showing up for all that, even in all of our perfections, especially in all of our weaknesses and our imperfections, giving all of that grace so that we can be more graceful with one another, because times are very, very hard. And compassion, I think, is called for now more than ever. And the more compassionate we are to all the parts of ourselves, the more we can be to others.
Yeah, I think you're right. And onward to Cancer season.
Okay, well, that's all then, folks.
Yeah, we're wrapping up Gemini season here, right? Live.
Yep. Hope it was good for y'all.
Yeah, I hope it was, because by the time you hear it, it's going to be Cancer season.
All right. Thank you, Mackie.
Well, thank you, Abacus. It's been another wonderful interview. Thanks for rounding her up for us. She was great.
For sure. All right, we'll see you next time.
Okay.
All right. Ciao.
Bye.